during that time, it wasn't that cool to be Japanese.
Sure.
It really wasn't. So I would bring these sushi rolls and these kids would like look at me like I was like, what is this kid doing? You know? And, you know, I was made fun of and made all this other stuff. So I was like, probably by fourth grade, I was no longer Japanese. I was Mexican. And that's what it was. And I just went all the way towards that and continued to grow up. And then, you know, when I'm at the stage of being about 20 years old, it's like Mikuni's here. Sushi is now like the coolest thing in the world.
Right.
Every girl that you're dating wants to go out to sushi. And it's like, wait a minute. Wow. Okay. You guys were all the ones that were making fun of me. And now it's like, you know, this is what's totally mainstream.
Hello and welcome to the Dine 16, a food podcast about Sacramento, where we take you behind the scenes and introduce you to some of the people making your favorite dining experiences happen. I'm your host, Max Connor, joined as always by my friend and host, Neil Little. Neil, you have escaped the heat up to Tahoe. What else is going on these days?
You know, escape the heat or ran away from it. I have no problem accepting that. I am not good when it gets that hot, and more importantly, neither is my dog. So I was just a good pet owner, and I took my dogs up to the mountains. Yes, I have the most spoiled dogs in the world. But yeah, it's lovely up here. It's sunny. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. How are you surviving down in Sacramento?
It's been all right. We had that one day on Tuesday when it was somehow super hot and super windy at the same time. That's a rare experience here. Usually wind means delta breeze cooling it down, but this wasn't. This was just like desert heat blast. So that was unpleasant, but otherwise, a couple days of 100 degrees is no big deal. So, and still getting, you know, time to enjoy some tasty food. I know we had Billy No from Crew on a few episodes ago, in which he talked about the Crew burger, the No burger, rather. And you had an opportunity to go in there and try it the other night. How was it?
Yes, I had the No burger, and it was everything it lived up to and even more. It was absolutely delicious. Slid into the bar the other night a little bit on the later side, which I enjoyed because they're open till 10 o'clock. Little tidbit for everyone out there. They are open late and do serve late, so that's fun to know. But yeah, slid in there and had the burger on National Burger Day, and it was absolutely fantastic. Like I said, if you get in there, Billy does great stuff with fish, but they know how to cook up a mean burger there too. And you've been to Crew recently too, haven't you?
Yeah, my wife and I went and had omakase style, had Billy, you know, trick us out with the full chef's choice experience, which was unbelievable. So many bites of food that were unlike anything I've ever had before. So as good a meal as I've ever had anywhere, for sure. So yeah, for anyone who hasn't listened to that episode, go back and listen. If you're not aware, he's up for a James Beard Award, Best Chef in California, in just a handful of days here. I think on Sunday, the 10th, or maybe it's Monday, is the awards, which we'll actually put a link in the show notes of where you can stream those awards live if you want to have yourself a little Sacramento watch party, and there's probably some going on around town. But excited for that, as well as very excited for today's guest, who I know we've had a lot of guests that you and I knew personally from working in the restaurant industry. And then sometimes we have a guest on just because we've been there and it's delicious. And that's what happened in this case, is it was a place you were frequenting and started to kind of become friendly with Ryan, our guest, and decided we should have this dude on because this stuff is good.
I legitimately fanboyed a little bit when it came to this guest. Like you said, most of the guests that we've had on are former friends of mine. So I kind of, not that I always know where the story's going to go, but I at least have a general idea. Are we going, you know, north, south, east, or west? With Ryan, I didn't even have a compass. It was just flying by the seat of our pants and getting to know him, and just getting to hear his story was so cool and so much fun, and learning where we're about to tell you about. I guess we can't break it now, but his egg salad sandwiches are absolutely fantastic, and just learning how they came from his heart and soul.
Yeah, so today's guest is Ryan Ota, owner and chef of Mecha Mucho, which if you don't know, you may have discovered it this week accidentally if you went to go get a giant snow cone from the Osaka-Ya snow cone window down there in Japantown, just across from Binchoyaki. On 10th, just up from X, you'll find Osaka-Ya. If you don't know about that spot, go there and find out about it. They hand make mochi. It's incredible. And they've always done these snow cones in the summer out this little roll-up window from the outside. These giant snow cones that look like they're made in an upside-down traffic cone and then plopped on top of a cup. You can get them with fruit flavors, or you can get them with red beans and sweetened condensed milk. It's amazing. And now you can go there and get yourself egg salad sandwich, egg salad spam sandwich, egg salad chicken katsu sandwich, because Ryan had a dream and made it happen to bring these Japanese milk bread sandwiches to Sacramento, and they are pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, and to be honest, you had me at spam. So let's hop into this story and hear how all this got started.
Well, Ryan Ota, thank you so much for being here on the Dine 16. It's great to have you.
Dude, thank you guys. This is awesome to be here.
Right on. So we always just start the interview with what was food like growing up in the home? I know you've got kind of mixed heritage, mixed culture. So what was cuisine like for you growing up?
Yeah, food was really amazing when I was a kid. I had no idea how my dad and my mother, they would work these, 8 to 6. My mom's working like a 16-hour day. Come home, fit grocery shopping into picking us up from school, and then they would go right in on it, and we would have a home cooked meal. I would say 8 days out of 7 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah, it was that total, like, if we were going out, we were like celebrating. It was a big deal. We were going out to eat, so no, they were great cooks. My heritage was my mother was Hispanic. Didn't really dive too far into the really culturally deep styles of food for her, whereas my dad on the other side, Japanese, got a lot of kind of the I don't really like to use the term peasant, but that's the way my grandma always described it, as more peasant style food. She came from a farm, and really the way I think about those styles of food, really, it's just all the love that's put into it, and I could really definitely taste it on that side. So it was great. We got it from both sides, and it definitely filtered into who I became, who my sisters became. We're all great cooks as adults. So yeah.
How big was your family?
So I have 2 younger sisters. Just under me. There's 5 years between all of us, so there's a total of 3. My sisters, we're all pretty artistic people. My mother is a hairdresser, so she my oldest out of the 2 sisters, she gravitated towards that, and she's doing her artistic thing on hair and lashes and making everybody beautiful out in El Dorado Hills. And then my younger sister, went more the state route, but then still finds all the extra time to do her hobby and do various printing. And so it's cool.
Now, are you guys from Sacramento? Where did you grow up?
Yeah, grew up Sacramento, born and raised. Started kind of in the South Sac area, and then Elk Grove became this new, cool, great thing, when I was in high school. So we moved out to that area. I kind of stayed more in the South Sacramento area. That was where my roots started. So, that's where I was budding. So I kind of stayed out in that area. My sisters moved out to the Elk Grove area and started that whole wave. And yeah.
So how did you get your start in food? When did you start cooking in kitchens or dishwashing or whatever it may
Bussing,
be?
yeah.
So food was always a huge attraction. I skated a ton as a kid, and if you're skating, you usually have a crew behind you. And with that, it's usually a lot of like hungry kids, right? I mean, we'd all go skate all day and sweat it all out, and then be ready to hunker down and eat a meal and partake in maybe, but we'll leave that part out, but I became the cook of the crew pretty much. And,
nice.
and fortunately, one of our little crew members, the mom, was a heavy Costco shopper. So this pantry would be stocked. I mean, I could pretty much go in there, and I guess it was the early days of Iron Chef per se. That would be running on the TV, and we'd be figuring out stuff in the pantry, and we'd throw together all these concoctions, and that ended up graduating into actually taking it a little bit more serious, doing some caterings, saying, hey, like, I want to do this. But of course, it wasn't at that stage. I had no idea how to actually make money doing this. It was more so like, I wanted to see your smiles on your face. I wanted to make you guys all stoked and hear how awesome it was. And that was enough fuel for it. And then we reached that point in life where it was like, no, we actually have to make some money. So at that stage, I remember going to my father, and again, with this really deep culinary background, and he, right off the gate, he was like, no. No.
I'm going to help you now.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. I've probably told this story 20 times now to peers in the industry, to just friends around. And I remember going to him, and I'm like, I really want to cook. I want to cook. Like, I love food. Like, this is what I want to do. I don't know about having a restaurant, whatever it be, but I want to cook. And he was like, well, I'm going to tell you a story. I have a friend really, really smart guy. I think he hammered that in, like, really, really smart guy, really, really smart guy, really, really smart guy. And, he told me he went through culinary and he's like, you know what he's doing right now? And he kind of even built that part up. He's like, you know what? He's probably getting ready for a shift right now. And this is probably 8:00 at night. He's going to work the overnight for pretty much pennies on the dollar. And I was just like, oh, shit, I don't want to do that. Like, that's the last thing I want to be doing. So anyway, he solved that problem initially. So I, ran off, did sales, really appreciated doing that. Like, I love talking with people. We're having a great morning this morning, right? I love doing that. Figure kind of like, all right, how do I tie these two things together? Continue to do sales for probably the next 5 years. And then I was like, nope, dove back into doing a few more caterings. And then I said, and it was probably right before like the recession that hit, which again, like I didn't foresee this. I was nowhere knowing what was going on in the world, but thank God I was like, you know what? No, I'm taking the helm right now and I'm going to cook. So jumped into a restaurant. Actually, it's a great restaurant. I don't know if anybody knows of this. I'm actually, a lot of people know this place, but if you guys know the Shack.
Oh, of course.
Shack in East Sac, right? Like one of the coolest, I still hold that as like, if there was a first job in cooking, like that was the ultimate one for me to have. And it really it cemented that, yeah, this is the love. This is what I'm going to have fun doing. This is what I'm going to appreciate doing. I'm going to make all these other people happy. I'm going to make myself happy. Again, not really factoring in the money side yet because I was still young, but I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And it really doesn't matter how much I'm going to make because it's going to fulfill me in all the other ways. So yeah, started with a Shack. We did these awesome dinners Thursday nights, which like people had no idea what they were even showing up for, but we built all this confidence in people and we'd put out this, this big scape of buffet style, but we'd pick these small regions. Like we wouldn't say Spain. We would say, like, oh, we're going to pick this little fishing region and da-da-da-da-da. And we would like be so tight right on that. And Gary and I would do all this studying and we'd build this menu every week. And people would just show up and like we'd sell out every single week. It would just very live, very fun atmosphere on a Thursday night. And that's where I was like, yeah, this is the way. This is the
amazing.
way. So
I feel like you kind of have to go through that progression growing up where it's like, I found what I want to do, but I'm not making money. And then you got to realize that having fun is a lot more important than money, but that takes till about 32 to figure that out.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. When we're putting $5 of gas in our tanks at a time, you know what I mean? It's
right.
Like, how does this all make sense? But then we get to this stage in our life and now we're doing great. So
you went the behind the scenes route, not the culinary school route, I take it.
Yeah, not the culinary school route. Not to say anything against that. I work with people, and I think that whatever suits you, that's what's best. For me, I guess we're back on the money talks, right? So I was like, hey, okay. Again, jumping into it a little bit later in the game. I think I was probably jumping into it somewhere around 25 because it's basically 20 years now. So about 25, I was jumping into the game. I had responsibilities at that time. I did need to make money. So fortunately, I was like, I am going to be the driest sponge around. I'm going to be the driest sponge in this kitchen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to soak up everything that I could possibly get from everybody around me because that's the best part about cooking. Like we learn from every individual around us, front of the house, back of the house, dishwasher, leads. Like we're learning from everyone. And so it's just constant education. And that's another part that just continues to attract me on a daily basis to this career.
Yeah. So where else did you bounce around to? You mentioned before we started recording that you worked at Track 7 for a while. What other places did you bounce around to?
So after working for the Shack, I had a girlfriend that at the time she was actually working at Mulvaney's. Patrick, is top tier here in Sacramento. Mm-hmm. So fortunately he has so many things, so many events going on. I mean, the guy's working like 4 or 5 events a day at times. It's a trip. I mean, he's probably like, no, I do 8. So I had the opportunity to work on a lot of those and really, again, sponge up around so many more cooks. We'd be building kitchens out in the middle of dirt roads because they want to have a wedding out in that area, and there's no electricity and there's no this and we'd find ways to do it every single time. And it's the reason why I still carry a Leatherman to this day, because I was like, man, I watched Rob. Rob's over at Mother now, but Rob, this guy would find a way to MacGyver almost anything on a culinary level, and it was so much was done from a Leatherman. So there was a restaurant called Sophia. That was actually my first chef job back in the day, and that was kind of a huge stepping stone in my career. From there, worked with Hot Italian for a while, ran the store out in Davis, and then from there went and worked with Track 7 at the other side. Spent a few years over there, and then we reached the point in time that we'd no longer speak about. So yeah, and then from there, we had decisions to make, and I was already dabbling a little bit with Solomon's and kind of helping them out, just doing some menu development, and reached the point in making a decision after COVID to say, what am I going to do? And really at that stage, everything was reopening a restaurant at that stage. So there was you weren't doing two things at once. It was literally, you were reopening restaurants and trying to make it evolve into how we can, be successful at that stage. And from there, we did a bunch of cool stuff with, feeding the homeless, feeding some of the elderly that couldn't get out there to the stores. And so we're feeding them on a regular basis to try to keep them safe. And then that kind of evolved into reopening, and I was at Solomon's prior to Mecha Mucho. But then, right at that stage, I had already known probably in my last year that like the next spot that I'm going to be is going to be mine. If I'm going to continue cooking, it's going to be mine. So, and that takes us to present day.
There you go. So what was kind of the origin of Mecha Mucho and thinking I'm going to go this route? And
I have a great pun.
Yeah.
Not the seed. What was the egg for Mecha Mucho?
There you go. But was it the chicken or was it the egg?
I mean, for you, I think it was the egg.
It was the egg for you.
Yeah,
I mean, there is katsu, there's chicken katsu and egg salad. So I don't know.
Totally. Enter the bird.
Hold on. Is that cannibalism, putting katsu with egg salad sandwich, now that I'm thinking about this?
That's right. I think they do it all. It's like pigs, right?
Yeah, there you go. Right.
But so Mecha Mucho had been something that we travel quite a bit. Again, just through California. I wish we could say more, but we're always in the Bay Area. We're always down in LA, where the culture is just flooded in the best way. So we always try to eat, and have experiences that we can't have in Sacramento, and see what's out there, see what maybe the next progression is, because they should be a step ahead of us. And in LA, I really, really fell in love. I'm already a sandwich guy. I try to tell everybody that almost everything is a sandwich, right?
Me too.
Burrito is a sandwich. A pizza is a sandwich. Like, I mean, there were so many times that working a Hot Italian, people would be like, "You guys make sandwiches? You guys eat?" And I mean, I'm just like, fold this thing in half.
That's
like,
right.
You got bread on both sides.
You
now.
can do
got
it with
cheese
one
in
hand.
the middle. Yeah. Exactly. I will throw arugula in the middle of it for you, and
there you go.
We're good to go. But anyway, I've always been a sandwich guy. We go out. We go to LA. Japanese food. That's kind of like one of our main ones. It's my daughter's very favorite. Katsu is her favorite thing in the world. So we go out there and we'd eat these katsu sandwiches, and I'm like, why do we have to be in San Francisco? Like, why do we have to be in San Jose to eat this? And we talked about it several times before. It was like, no, it is going to be in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And this is what we're doing. And we're just going to bring it. We're going to make this happen. And then Mecha Mucho of course, there's so many more layers to it that we hope to reach, and we're going to continue to have growth. But that was the beginning. And then we, just started testing various ideas, getting our egg salad hammered down. There's so much more that goes into food than a menu.
Right.
And I think that's where, so many people think that the kitchen, the restaurant is just a magic machine. Like anything could be produced in that kitchen. It could be done in 5 minutes. It's like, no. Like we put a lot of work into these, especially the successful ones that are like, no, we're going to really hammer down consistency. We're really going to make sure that every experience is the same experience. And you're going to bring your other friends in, and it's not going to be like, oh, they had a bad day.
Right.
That's not what we're going for. So lots of testing, lots of work. And we're going to continue to get better, continue to grow. And I think we're doing a pretty good job right now.
Yeah, you are. It's funny to me how many stories we get with people whose parents were like, no, do not go into cooking. And there's some people who just are compelled to do it. There's some people who get into the pirate life at washing dishes at 15, 16, and it's a craft. And then there's other people who just, part of their heart always knew, like, I want to make food and I want to make people happy. And I absolutely love his story about making all kinds of weird concoctions for his skater friends growing up and how that has now turned into what he does today at Mecha Mucho, which I can't think of a better, as a former BMXer, I didn't skateboard, but I rode BMX bikes, like, I would have loved nothing more than to have ridden my bike at a skate park or some dirt jumps we built for an entire afternoon and then roll up to Mecha Mucho for an egg salad sandwich, a Jarritos, and some hot pot flavored chips. Like, sounds incredible.
No, I totally agree. And don't get me wrong, I love a good Taco Bell as much as anyone, but like nowadays, the food options that kids have around Sacramento is just unparalleled. Like, you can go get some of the coolest concoctions from the coolest places and eat such good food at such a young age. It's totally unique and fun. And I think a lot of kids these days they're getting introduced to such cool food at young ages that they're developing these really refined palates and having really good tastes going on. Like, I'll be honest, I couldn't imagine growing up wanting to go out and find a Spam and egg salad sandwich when right now that's all I want to do in life is walk down to Sacramento and get an egg salad Spam sandwich. And that's just such a cool attempt and thing for him to do. And it's working. And I'm just really happy for him.
So let's jump back into the story and hear a little bit more about what Mecha Mucho is, how the idea came to be, and how he ended up in this spot that, as you'll hear, is a spot he's known since he was a kid.
Was egg salad a goal? Was chicken katsu a goal? Was Japanese sandwich? Which path did you figure out how to go down in terms of your food first?
Yeah.
Because that is a very particular type of sandwich, which I do love, but it is particular.
Absolutely. So egg salad was the number one. That's what we really, really wanted to get. But of course, like, then I'm testing, like, and I'm a month into it, and I'm like, God, is egg salad that exciting? Is it that exciting? Who is the audience for egg salad sandwiches? And it made me kind of backpedal for a second. And then we did do a few tests. We were dropping it off to just a bunch of peers, that I knew were going to give it to me straight. Mm-hmm. Like, just I don't want to hear, I was really good. Really good. Like, I'm almost like, okay, you're definitely not getting a sandwich next time. Yeah, I don't trust. Exactly. I wanted to hear everything, so we just started just weekly. We would just do these drops, and then first it was like egg salads, and then we were doing them a few other ideas that we wanted, and then I went backwards, and I was like, maybe everything should be egg salad, but you just add proteins into it. But everything, and it's just like this whole model built off of egg salad. And I really liked that for like 2 weeks. And then I was like, no, that is, I'm along the right route, but I think what it is just egg salad needs to be in everything, needs to be a vital part in every sandwich, but not to be the main focus. And I think that egg salad has so much to add to it because, it's in essence, it's this emulsification. It's this kind of custardy layer or, per se, there's pate in sandwiches. There's all these different things. So it's a great base to kind of lay down a good foundation on. So that's where we went with it. And then we're like, no, now let's build these other sandwiches that, again, stay true to our roots, but kind of graduate from there. It just takes me to a spot. Yeah. It just takes me to a place. And I feel like that's what egg salad should do for everybody. Whether it takes you to Japan, whether it takes you to mom, whether it takes you to Easter, the day after Easter when everyone's eating egg salad at one time of the year that they actually have to eat it, but it should take you to a place. And I feel like that's really what ours does.
It's one of my kids' favorite things about Easter. Is just the last 2 years they've been saying, we're having egg salad, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're having egg salad sandwiches.
I just put that together.
Yeah.
Egg salad sandwich, and we always did too. I just put that together. I didn't realize.
Yeah. Well, I think nowadays it's like, do we even boil eggs anymore for Easter? I don't know if that's like
we do because we still like coloring them because we have kids.
That's awesome.
Right?
That's awesome.
And we do both. We leave them out for the Easter bunny on the kitchen table, and then the Easter bunny comes and hides them in the backyard while they're sleeping. Is kind of the game. And then we have plastic eggs with jelly beans that get put out there as well.
Right.
But yeah, we still do it. So it's part of
Good.
the fun.
Keep them
and
traditions
egg salad.
alive.
I mean, egg salad Every year when you make it, I'm like, why am I not making egg salad at home all the time?
Yeah.
So
And you get a little blue-green in some of the areas
Yeah,
from
it's
the
exactly
from the
right.
dyes. And you get a little
Yep,
red. You know?
100%.
It's not mold, I promise.
No, it's confetti egg salad, you guys. Like,
right.
that's how we have to sell it, you know?
funfetti egg salad. There you go. So how'd you guys end up at Osaka-Ya?
So I had been going to Osaka-Ya since before it was Osaka-Ya. Where we are at right now, where Osaka-Ya is now located, used to be a place called Senator Fish Market. Senator Fish Market was one of the coolest. Again, I love Sunfish, love those guys. They're freaking awesome. But this was like that old school fish market where it was all these big wooden crates, wooden slats on the floor, just packed with ice, and you just walk up these rows and you'd like, look at all the various fish, and you just see like the ice melting, but it would just melt through the floor. And like that was the coolest thing I had ever seen. Like now everything's so like regulated and done, it has to be covered, and like we can't walk. But this was one of the cool, it was my highlight of my weekend to go to the fish market. So we'd go there, and Osaka-Ya used to actually be across the way where Binchoyaki is right now. That's where we would go get our snow cones at that time, and then it moved over to the snow cone window. And as each year that I got older and older, I just became more and more fond of the newer Osaka-Ya. I think where we're at right now happened right around the time when I was in high school. And then from there, I had children, and I would bring my son there. And now it's been my daughter's, at least a weekly thing. Now that I'm there, she thinks it's like a more 4-day-a-week type thing.
now.
We're gonna get
Where's
a
my
snow
snow
cone.
cone?
But I had been lining up at that window ever since I've ever known. And as much as we were very busy with R&D, we were also really busy in looking for a location. And we were looking everywhere, and location is so key, especially with what my brand is and the people, the guests that are going to support it. So we were very specific about where we wanted to be, because I thought really it could really make or break it at that point in time. And we looked at a bunch of spots. This was probably 3 or 4 months into it. And my wife will tell you, like, when something's on my mind, I'm not a sleeper. I just don't sleep. I just toss and turn, and I think, and I keep a notepad right next to me, and I'm like with a pen right there, and I'm just like, oh, I thought about this, and I just write it down. And one of these nights, I think I probably woke up about 2:30 in the morning, and it just popped in my brain, like, Osaka-Ya, like that snow cone window. And I think we were probably somewhere around I opened up November, so we were probably somewhere in August. And I knew that the window, who buys snow cones during the wintertime?
Right.
These were my early thoughts. I have people ask for snow cones.
Sure.
Like, it'll be pouring down rain and people are asking for snow cones. But anyway, I was like, who asked for snow cones in the wintertime? And so I went over, and I had already been talking to Linda Nakatani, who actually who owns Osaka-Ya. She had always helped me out with the various Japanese things that I wanted to either put on the menu, or, I need certain literature for this or that. And she would always be the person that I went to. And she'd always tell me, that's right, that's not right, this is right. So I went with her with the brand one day, and she was like, that's right. She's like, I think looks really good. And then I thought about it. The very next day, I went with sandwiches, and she was like, where can I get these at? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know, but I would need to make sure that you approve of these and that you think. She was like, I would eat this every day. And that night I went home, and again, got woken up probably by 2:00 of a break. And I was like, that's the spot. Why am I overthinking this? I need to approach Linda, and I just need to take over for snow cones, for the wintertime. And again, I'm not taking over snow cones, but I'll hold it down for you guys for the wintertime. We're going to keep this window alive, and it'll be the great start to be able to test this. And, probably 3 weeks later, or maybe a week later, I started a Instagram campaign, and social media started getting this little buzz going. All the sandwiches I was dropping off, I was taking pictures of, and taking pictures with the people that I was dropping off to. And people were like, where can we get these? Where can we get these? All these DMs. And then, about 3 weeks later, I rolled up the window, and there was just a sea of people.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
And I was like, this is the freaking coolest thing that I've ever seen. There's one problem. I said I was going to do this by myself. one minor issue. Okay, how are we going to do this? But it was the best initial problem, if we're going to call it a problem to have. And we went from there. We had an outpouring of people offering to help us, and they wanted to be part of the brand, or they wanted to do this or that. And We just went, and I had a good group of people. I was kind of talking about, I have a great friend, Justin. Our daughters are actually in the same class over at LDV, Leonardo da Vinci. And we would talk every morning about this. And it just got more and more exciting to kind of talk about. And then Justin one day, he's like, man, if you need some help, like, just let me know. And I think I probably called him like 30 minutes later. And I was like, I got a great idea. And what was weird is like, I pitched him all about the job and what it all takes to do the job. And then about 5 minutes later, we got off the phone. About 5 minutes later, I was like, no. The main reason why I think that you and I would work really well together, because I just want you to be you. Just be you. Like I feel like when you put special people together, good chemistry, just be ourselves, and it works. Now we're 7 months into it now, and we have the best time every day. We kind of have figured out that we have so much more than providing a lunchtime experience. Like, we do a lot for ourselves. I mean, we're 3 guys, 2 of us have kids. As much as we provide great lunch experience, we're also our own men's club that we check in on each other on a daily basis, and give each other all our mental and emotional strength on a daily basis to take on the world, and we have a great time.
What was the group of guys in Ted Lasso? The wolf? No, was it the wolf pack?
It was the dog something.
The dog something. Yeah, whatever that was. No, I think that's great.
I'm totally going to get in trouble from my wife right now because I don't know the answer to that, because we totally got into Ted Lasso. It's a great.
If you didn't get into Ted Lasso, I don't trust you.
Yeah.
Like, I forget the name of it, but we all know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
No, I almost love how it almost sounds like your spot was crowdsourced through Sacramento.
Yeah.
Like, between getting people's opinions and advice and just and I know you get your bread from, I'm blanking on the name.
So we were Maharoba.
Okay.
Maharoba. I mean, we wanted to do everything as local as possible, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, let's all support each other. Like, that's like,
I love that.
We're Sacramento. We're special. Ben made a great comment, Pizza Supreme Bean. I'm like, yeah, dude, you hit it right on the head. We're special. We have our own identity. We don't need to be compared to anybody else. Yeah. With that being said, we wanted to use Maharoba. This great, again, we're using the word problem. It's the wrong word, but we just outgrew it immediately. So we look to make an announcement this week on working with another local bread purveyor.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. Those
Yeah.
aren't problems. You're just growing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not. Yeah, that's what you want to happen.
Absolutely. Of course, we're critical. We
Yeah.
have to be. It's now it's not even.
You've set the bar very high.
Yeah. I mean, going back to consistency, right? We know exactly what we want to hit. We've tested it with a bunch of other milk breads just to test what our sandwich tastes like, and it's really strange. Like, it just. The minor nuances of bread has completely changed an egg salad. Again, a basic sandwich. It's a basic sandwich. It needs to have, it has very few components. Each one needs to shine and be the star. Right?
I'm not going to eat a burger on wheat bread. I like both, but they don't complement each other. I totally understand. Now, that being said, so what type of bread is this? Like, can you go into the details without having to kill us on the specialties of your bread?
So we're really hoping that they can still continue to produce a Shokupan, which is a Japanese milk bread. So we're hoping to continue to do that, but we've also reached a point in business where it's time to give some more excitement. And give a little bit more. So we are going to switch up a couple breads on a couple of our sandwiches that we just tested some other things and we like it.
Nice.
We like it. We just did a wagyu katsu.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Damn
we just
it.
did that.
I was busy. I was legitimately pissed when I saw that. I was like, I'm busy at that time. I almost texted you, be like, dude, just hold one for me.
Right? Hey, man. Yep. You could do that, man.
There we go.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah. You got my number.
There
but
we
anyway, go. We just did a wagyu, which we're going to continue to do. We'll probably do it once a month because it is a. After all, wagyu costs a little money.
Yeah.
It's a $30 sandwich. Like, I'm speaking for myself, I can't eat a $30 sandwich every week.
Right.
So we're going to continue to do it. I think our next one's going to be Father's Day. So I think we're going to be close around that time with what we're talking right now to launch that. But yeah, I believe it'll be Father's Day, and just continue to do fun stuff. We did breakfast sandwiches, which I would love to do that to continue to do that more. That just comes with the progression of having a kitchen built to do that.
So tell us a little bit about the brand and what Mecha Mucho means, because we were talking about it before we started recording. I think that's a cool story. I love that.
Yeah, Mecha Mucho. I'm 45 years old. So 45 years ago, I was kind of like, dude, what what exactly are you? Mexican and Japanese? Like, how did that work out? And I always had a Japanese middle name, so I kind of have some funny stories on different times when substitute teachers would come into the room, and of course my Japanese middle name was somehow listed in there, and my Japanese middle name is Jitsuo. The substitute teacher would say Jitsuo, and I would like look around like, who the hell is that guy? Like, I don't know who that guy is, because let's be real, it just wasn't that, during that time, it wasn't that cool to be Japanese.
Sure.
It really wasn't. And I didn't know any better. Like, we would have family dinners and I would like, oh, we have these like leftover sushi rolls and stuff like this. Like, we were a family. We always packed our lunches. Like, like if we got to buy lunch, that was like the biggest treat ever. Mm-hmm. So I would bring these sushi rolls and these kids would like look at me like I was like, what is this kid doing? And, I was made fun of and made all this other stuff. So I was like, probably by fourth grade, I was no longer Japanese. I was Mexican. And that's what it was. And I just went all the way towards that. And that's where we're all just trying to feel comfortable as kids.
Sure.
So I just kind of was like, I don't even like Japanese food. I don't really like any of those things, of course, except for the snow cone. Like,
right.
we won't leave the snow cone out. But it kind of became that route. I really gravitated towards Mexican food, continue to grow up. And then when I'm at the stage of being about 20 years old, it's like Mikuni's here. Sushi is now like the coolest thing in the world.
Right.
Every girl that you're dating wants to go out to sushi. And it's like,
wait a minute.
Wow. Okay. You guys were all the ones that were making fun of me, and now it's like, this is what's totally mainstream. Then anime kind of started coming on. Then people actually figured out all the video games they were playing were coming from Japan, and then Japan just became, and I feel like to this day, tomorrow it'll be more popular than today, and it's just becoming this like, that's the coolest place in the world, which I'm so grateful for my kids that it's became this really cool thing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm Hapa. I'm like part Japanese, and I do all that cool stuff. We import this stuff and we do that. So with that being said, it's like, I reached a point where I was like, no, I love that. I love my heritage. I love the Japanese side. I love the Mexican side. How do I really pay back to all those things? Well, I cook. And that's what I do. And what would give me the biggest satisfaction would be to get all the foods that I was comfortable with or that I feel that people need to eat more of in their face, in their mouths, in their bellies. Like, let's let them have this experience and let's make them smile. Let's make them, say how great it is and all this other fun stuff. And man, it's been so fulfilling. And so now we're at Mecha Mucho, and I wish we had a little bit more on the Hispanic side than the I think right now we have all the flavors of the Jarritos. So but other than that, like, the best part is like we get to see how it continues to grow and show more of those sides.
And you said Mecha means
So mecha meaning, they both basically mean like a lot of things or like a plethora. And what's great is mecha being the Japanese side and then mucho obviously on the Hispanic side.
All right, so I just want to give a brief recap for everyone at this point. As you've listened through now, he's had this idea for a few years to open a sandwich spot, kind of tinkering and playing and whatnot. But it wasn't until about fall of last year until he really started knuckling down. He made the social media account, really figured out that egg salad was his jam, got the milk bread going and all of that. And he was up and running in November, and we are now sitting in the beginning of June, and they're becoming a cult icon in Sacramento. For those of you not working in the restaurant industry, this is called like winning 3 lotteries with the same ticket number. What he is doing is just so impressive, and the amount of, actually, one of my dad's favorite lines to tell me, the people who work hardest get luckiest, and I think Ryan is a perfect example of this. He has put his nose down and grinded, and he has just become so successful, and just the way he's gone about it with such enthusiasm and graciousness and happiness and niceness. This is just such, like I said, I'm fanboying, and you can even hear it in my voice now. I am so happy for what they're doing and the success they're having, making Little Japantown come alive and just their success in Sacramento.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to have a guy. He's just, we've met plenty of nice people on here, but like, not only is he a nice guy, but he's still, after 25 years working in the kitchen, what he loves is putting that smile on somebody's face, and he gets what we talk about here, which is that childhood connection to food and the opportunity to let people light up with that ratatouille moment. And he's doing it with a really humble, but in a lot of ways perfectly done sandwich. I love sandwiches. I love the way he thinks about it. We always joke in the podcast that there's usually a moment when we get hungry. In editing this podcast, I've never been so hungry for a specific sandwich or any specific item. It's like, I mean, I've had times I was listening back to it a few nights ago, and I just had like 4 tacos and a bunch of chips and salsa with some friends at a taqueria. And I was listening to it for where I was going to make some edits. And I was like, if they were open right now, I would stop and get a sandwich. It was 9:30. I was like, I would stop and get a sandwich right now. I am so hungry to eat this sandwich, and I'm already completely stuffed. That's what we're talking about. So hopefully this episode does the same for anybody else listening out there, and makes them want to run over to Mecha Mucho and get themselves a sandwich, which you can still do at Osaka-Ya, but we'll jump back into the interview to hear about what Ryan hopes for the future and what his vision is to really grow this idea that's exploded into being able to buy it at maybe other locations, or certainly to have a larger single location in a community spot for himself and for his customers.
Where do you see the future of all of this going? Do you have an idea, or are you just kind of taking it 6 months at a time and playing it from there?
What I really hope to do after we, solidify and that we're all, 110% happy with the bread is to definitely broaden the menu. But I think the first stage is to use that egg salad as our gateway drug, really. I'm going to be hitting the road and trying to get it into places like Oto's. Like I want it to be there all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want it to be just to where like that you could just be shopping and you're like, oh, yep. My daughter wants a bento and, but I want an egg salad. And yeah, it's just, it's always there. So I think that's where we're really trying to go with the brand initially, to continue to keep our storefront and, to continue to have all of our guest interaction. Because again, as much as I've talked about what I feel like that we give to our guests give so much to us. Going back to, what you're saying is like, once we get to really see everybody like smiling when they're eating these sandwiches and that instant gratification that us restaurant workers, get on a daily basis, it's amazing. Yeah. I think, you guys both have backgrounds. Like, what that feeling is when you're just like, no, like I just made that person's day. And we can do that so many times in a day. We can make people's day. And that's like, how many other what else can you be doing that you have that impact? So we get our satisfaction through our guests, but then if we can get it out to some really cool like convenience stores that we love, that we feel that are again above a gas station. We're not trying to get it into Arco AMPMs or nothing like that. But I think that's our first next step, and then to work on brand menu expansion after that. The goal of this is always to be in my hood. And with that being said, we've kind of broadened it. So we're really looking between pocket area to where we're at, J-Town right now. We continue to look and just keep our eyes open because we want it to be a really cool like community destination.
Yeah.
Like come hang out there. We would really love to add wine, sake, beer to the list. Like come out, like just hang out with your kids, like do all this. Just a community gathering spot where just, and everyone's there. Everyone's there. Like we don't like as much as we have Japanese, Hispanic roots. No, we want the whole neighborhood there. We want, everybody from the school. I want my daughter to run into friends there and it just to be this big cohesive, just great time that we could hang out in our neighborhood because we need it. We need it. If whoever's listening to this is like, yes, we need that in our neighborhood. So
and it calls back to your roots too, of someone who worked at the Shack, because that's what the Shack was over there in East Sacramento for those those strips.
Yeah.
The Fab 40s, but also all those strips in that area of East Sac and the smaller areas. I mean that's what that place was. It was a destination, but also a spot where the same people went in, weekly,
daily, even like that was you're right, and I never really thought about that as that feeding into the whole like goal of what I would want. But no, you're very true. That spot was like, and everyone was welcome there. Mm-hmm. It's like a pirate ship of misfits that also like it's like everybody works together. It's like it's a great spot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, kind of what you were describing growing up in Hawaii. We said like Kama'aina family. It's just like the neighborhood. Just get everyone together. Doesn't matter what you look like, where you're from. Just come have fun. I love that. That's the way you want to be. And also, I want to be on a pirate ship. I don't want to be on a good ship. Put me on the pirate ship.
That's
No,
right.
no, yeah, like the Goonies ship in particular, that would be like the number one. and there's gold on there,
Right?
Gold and jewels.
So we've talked all about Mecha Mucho. So like, who are you outside of that? Like, we know you have interests and hobbies. So like, what are some of those things that, like you mentioned tennis earlier?
Yeah. The most challenging part of that is the time, right? I mean, like for us all to find the time. But as we get older, I think that we realize that we need to balance to be strong at whatever we're actually doing or whatever our focuses are at that point in time. So I do definitely try like to pull back at least a day a week. It doesn't always happen, but I mean, that's the goal. But yeah, love to play tennis. We're big Disneyland people, so we love to. We really love Disneyland. I not necessarily a mechanic, but I'd like to work on cars in my spare time, and cars, music, and denim. We're I'm a big that also got into into the Japanese roots. I was like, oh, these guys like denim. Oh yeah, I really like the Japanese side.
I just found that in myself. I didn't know that was there.
Yeah. Oh, I can find these different regions. Oh, where am I going in Japan? Yeah, I guess No, it's I guess first and foremost, like that I try to tie all those things in. Being a dad, I have an older. My son's older. He's 19, so he's doing his own thing. Fortunately, he's great kid, working now, saving up to get a car. He's kind of on his own scale. But then I also have a 6-year-old. She's a softball player. Softball right now is kind of the highlight to the week. We have a game tonight. So, and of course, being a good partner too, right? I mean, that's like, we have to find ways of doing all that. But I think, going back to, I think my initial statement was like, if we balance it all out, then we are balanced. We're able to give that to each one of those and put an egg in each one of those baskets, So
Nicely done with that one.
Yeah. There you go. Right. You laid the foundation for me to.
We'll go in there just a little bit more to show some love to Lisa. She your wife or partner?
Yeah, I mean, Lisa's my wife. I mean,
Okay,
I guess we don't have the paperwork to show for it. But
Sure, okay.
Lisa's my wife. Yeah,
You have the bills. Yeah, you do.
You know what? Very well said. Very well said. Yes. Exactly.
What's it been like, obviously, to have her support? I know she's not full time there, but she works there, and I think Neil was saying she's a nurse, or she does. She's got a grown up job as well.
Oh, she's amazing. I would not be the strong man that I'm able to be on a daily basis to even. I think I would still have this idea, Mecha Mucho. Wow, this is so cool. That would be so cool if I could do that, and it would just continue to get swept under the rug, and it would stay a dream. But she actually allowed it to kind of come into place. She's huge support. Like right now, she's on the night shift right now, and she still finds. I wish I could explain it the way that she explained it the other day, but she's like, I do like nights because then I still have options to, like, if she's working days, she just cannot do certain things during days. But she's like, at nights, then I could still go to the softball games. I could still work at Mecha Mucho if I want to. I could still do. I'm like, yeah, but when do you sleep? like at the sacrifice of what? And she just like, she doesn't even think like that. And I'm like, I don't. Some of us are wired different.
Yeah.
I'm going to credit it to her. She's younger than me, so I'm just going to say that. Like, wait till you get this age. And then we'll talk. No, but she's a huge support. She makes sure that all the she's the glue. I mean, she really is. She makes sure that it's all there. Support.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, it's the best partnership ever. So, yeah.
What, behind every good guy is a strong woman?
Right.
Isn't that the saying?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the truth. Period.
All right.
All right, we're at the fun part.
Fire?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, this will be a fun one for you. What's your favorite cheap guilty pleasure?
Ooh.
Food. These are all food questions.
Food. Okay. Number one, probably the chili cheese fries at Willie's.
Oh, that's a good one.
Nice.
I like Willie's.
Like, oh man, chili cheese fries. That's like one of those that I'm just like a sucker for it. I could have been eating all day, but I'm just like, I see chili cheese fries on the menu, and I'm just like, I don't know what it is. I just have this attraction to.
What is your favorite dish to cook at home when you have time? Hold on. Actually, I'm going to rephrase that. What is your daughter's favorite dish for you to cook?
Daughter's favorite dish. Daughter's favorite dish is going to be katsu or spaghetti. And
those are wildly opposite. I like it.
Totally right. Katsu has definitely gotten a lot more difficult to prepare at home. It's that the mechanic's car is like usually broke down, or he has a backup because, it's never running, or he has to take one or the other because that's just the way it runs.
You have a favorite food, TV show, or movie?
Ooh, so I definitely don't dive into. I haven't done The Bear.
Okay,
I think that's what's most people's initial . For one, I usually stay away from popular things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, no, that's just way too cool. I don't do all that. But so I usually try to stay away from popular things. But then for two, I don't know that I really feel it. I like, or that, and I've heard that they actually did a really great job. Or it's like, I don't want to do that at home too.
Yeah.
I work really hard to leave who I am in the restaurant at the restaurant versus, bringing it home with you. And I think that that's a great, I guess that's something that we didn't really touch on that Mecha Mucho has provided for me, is that it's definitely provided a lot of maturity and happiness, and just learning that we have all these, we learn from all these chefs early on, and then we see these shows, and then we see Gordon Ramsay on TV, and we see all this, and it's just it doesn't need to be that way.
Right.
It doesn't need to be that way. I remember, nights when I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I wasn't dreaming about, opening up Mecha Mucho. I'd be sitting there and I'd be calling orders. I'd be running an expo and I just wake up at 3 a.m. and I'm doing that. And it's just or you're talking to your children the same way that you talk to line cooks. And again, first off, why should line cooks be talked to that way?
Sure.
Right? I mean, I guess that's the beginning of it. But it's we kind of grew up with seeing that. I remember one time throwing heating up some ganache, and I was trying to write on this plate, and then I just it just got me so pissed off that I just flung it to the side and it went on the wall. And I guess for that second it gave me a sense of satisfaction, but now I look at it, I'm that was so stupid.
Right.
It's just so
now you got to clean it up.
But you felt that you flexed, and boy, you did. Oh, that was cool, but we were kind of almost raised to think that that's the way that we were supposed to act. And I think that we do so much now to know that, no, it's if you build yourself up to be that person at work, then you're setting yourself up to be that person at home too. And I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
I don't want to be chef at home. I don't want to be boss at home. I don't want to be any of that. That's mom. Mom's the boss. Yeah.
What's your favorite dish from your childhood that you want to go back and eat?
Always my grandmother's food. Her chicken gohan, which again, going back to, it was a one pot meal, but it just had all the textures, all the flavor. Any meal that takes you back to a place, it's and that was that one where it's yeah, you can just close your eyes. And I felt that I was almost with my grandma growing up, and learning her story and learning all that just from eating that dish. So it's something that will never get old. My grandmother has passed now, and we work our hardest, all of us, between myself and my sisters and my mother, to recreate this dish. And it's just one that you'll just never make it like grandma.
Doesn't have grandma's love.
No, it doesn't have it. But as much as we get satisfaction from trying to recreate it, and I think it probably makes her smile just seeing us just try to do it and be suckers, see, you guys, you got missed again. but that's the one. That's the one. Yeah. My Mexican grandmother, my grandma Gonzalez, every day we went over there, she'd be making tortillas. There'd be a pot of beans and a pot of rice on.
Oh, man.
And I always remember telling my mom, why don't you do this for us? And she was because I had to eat that every day.
Right.
Why would I, you don't want to eat that. And I was and I remember being no, I would eat this every day. And I just remember this is actually one of my most fond food memories, is just holding my grandma's knee, and she's rolling them out as fast as she goes. And she probably cook a tortilla in 30 seconds, and as fast as she could make them and butter them. But and her butter would be Nuco. It would, there's no butter. This is margarine, the foil. And we just Nuco the crap out of it, and I'd eat them basically as fast as she could continue to make them. And so both of those two dishes were just out of this world. It's drop the mic, done.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right. Ryan Ota, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, man, I had a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are we going for beers after this?
Right? I don't know.
Right?
I think one thing that really strikes me about Ryan's story is how important care and attention to detail and consistency and quality still come into play as much into these places like Mecha Mucho, like Pizza Supreme Being, who we reference all the time and have had on, as much as it does your Camdens and your Crews. And that's what separates a place that is doing a, quote-unquote humble egg salad, or egg salad chicken katsu sandwich from your crummy grocery store sandwich, right? It's just, there's a care and an attention to detail that Ryan brings that is just as impressive to me as your fine dining spots in town. And you can taste it when you sit down, at the tables out front of Osaka-Ya or in your car and bite into that sandwich. You can feel the love and the care and attention to detail that went into it.
I would go one step farther, and I would say that it's art. One of these things, all these chefs are artists, and their food is a blank canvas for them to show their story. And I like how you bring up comparing Mecha Mucho to the likes of the Crews and the Camdens. Behind the scenes, these are the same guys and women that tick the same way, where they are meticulous in their detail and take such pride in their work, whether it's an egg salad sandwich to go or a beef Wellington on New Year's Eve night. They all take the same precision and care and dedication. And again, and all they're looking for is that smile. That's what they ultimately want to see. They want to see the smile on your face and bring you happiness. And it's just such a joy to see Sacramento have so many of these people. And again, Ryan is exactly a perfect example. Someone from here, raised here, brought up by the city, and just trying to give back.
I mean, what a cool story, like, to literally be lining up as a kid for snow cones at the window where you are now selling sandwiches and snow cones. Pretty unique, pretty amazing tale.
I mean, that's Ratatouille Part 2, right? This is a Disney
right.
movie in the making.
All right, well, if you enjoyed this episode, please like or subscribe wherever you listen. Comment on YouTube if you're listening there. And please share this episode out with friends and family, people you know in Sacramento. We really want the show to continue to grow, to bring you these amazing guests, and let them tell their stories of food in Sacramento and what it means to them, because it means a lot to us for you to listen.
And continue to give us reasons to go out and eat.
That's exactly right. You can follow us on Instagram. The handle is @Dine16, all spelled out, no numbers, Dine16. Our opening and closing theme music are by my brother-in-law, Mark Owens. The Dine16 is a production of the Hear Me Now Studios in Citrus Heights, California. Our next guest is going to be a fun and interesting one. Someone who has worked in hospitality for a really long time, not a chef, someone who now works on the alcohol side, but yet still has a really cool story. We talked a lot in this podcast about smiles on people's faces, taking care of people in restaurants, and her story really is rooted in that tradition. So we can't wait to share that with you as a reunion for Neil as well. You'll get to hear that episode in a couple of weeks. And so until then, as always, eat something you love with someone you love.